Hey guys, welcome back to the part 2 of our crafted corset series. In this video, I will show you how to draft the corset bodies using the crafted cup we made earlier. And before we dive in, I'm super excited to let you know that I've opened a channel membership, Eleganza TV Fam. As a member, you get full access to exclusive tutorials, behind the scenes contents to help level up your sewing game. And if you want to be a member of this channel, the link is right in the description. So check it out and join the fam. Alright, so let's jump straight into the drafting. And if you're yet to subscribe to the channel, please do so, and also turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any part of this corset series and other amazing tutorials in this channel. So guys, let's get right into the video. So guys, the first thing I did was to fold my pattern into two. This is just for tutorial purpose, but if you want your corset to have a stylish hemline, you want to draft it directly on your pattern paper, you can also start this way. So I began by marking my bust bridge of 0.5 inch, which is a standard for all bust size. Then I ruled a straight line through it. This is going to guide the placement of the cup. So next, I placed paper tape on the sides of the crafted cup and also the underbust. Then after doing that, I'm going to place my crafted cup close to the bust bridge. So I decided to mark where the cup stops on the paper tape, just like you see me doing. And then I position the crafted cup close to the bust bridge this way. So when you place your cup on the pattern paper this way, ensure that it stands well on its own. You can make it stand straight this way, or you can tilt it a bit. So I decided to just tilt it a bit, okay, so that it gives me that fine corset look. But don't bend it too much. You can choose to leave it straight, just like I did right here, or you can choose to, bend it this way. Just tilt it a bit, but don't bend it too much, okay? So after getting what I want for the cup, I went ahead to draw a curved line around the shape of the cup, okay? Then after doing that, next thing I'm going to do now is to impute my body measurements. Now for this crafted cup corset, we don't use the exact underbust measurement. Instead, I added half an inch. My exact underbust measurement is 14 inches, but I'm going to make it 14 and a half. So I'll place 14.5 this way on my underbust and then measure to the top of the tape, which is going to be serving as my shoulder line. So this is especially useful for bigger bust sizes, so the cup doesn't push up too much, and cause spillage. But for smaller bust sizes, you can use the exact underbust measurements. But if you want your cup to be, open, if you want it to have a push-up effect, you can use your exact underbust. But I would advise that you add half an inch to your underbust when taking your body measurements. So then I ruled a straight line on my underbust line, and then from that point, I measured my half length of 19.5, still placing my tape on my underbust. I measured my half length. Then for my half length, I came down by 10 inches, and I'm also going to rule a straight line on that point. So this is not the corset length I am working with. It is just serving as a guide to ensure that the hem of my corset is correctly snatched. And then for my corset length, I came down from my half length by 6 inches. And then after doing that, I'm going to rule a straight line on that point. So after getting all the measurement like this, I am going to label my pattern, shoulder line, underbust, half length, corset length, and the top length. So guys, before drafting your corset bodies, ensure that you have gone ahead to craft your cup. So in case you've not watched that video, the link will be in the description. You need your crafted cup to get your corset length. You can see that if I place my tape from the shoulder line to measure all the lines I have marked, I will not be able to get my exact body measurement. But because of the crafted cup, I am able to get my measurement well. Then having done that, next thing I did was to take my shoulder divided by 2, and I came down by 1 inch for shoulder slants. And then I also marked 3 inches by 3 inches for my neck wideness and my neck depth. So I've gone ahead to connect all the points together. Next thing I did was to place my ruler at the point where my cup stops. I ruled a straight line on that point. So that is now going to serve as my chest line. So I measured exactly what I have on my shoulder, and I placed the same thing on my chest line. Then I ruled a straight line to meet with my shoulder slant like this. Having done that, I got the midpoint of that straight line. And then after marking the midpoint like this, I will go in by 0.5 inch. So I connected from my shoulder slant to that point. So finally, we move on to the body measurement for the corset. I'll begin with the bust measurement. So divide your bust measurement into two. Mine is 20.5 inches. Always ensure you're using your exact bust measurement for accuracy. So next, I measured from my bust bridge all the way to the end of my crafted cup, and I had 9 inches. Then I added 1.5 inch to it. So this is a standard when you want to take your bust measurements. So measure exactly what you have from your bust bridge to the end of your cup, and then add 1.5 inch to whatever you got. Then I wrote a straight line on that point. So after measuring it up together like this, I had 10.5 inch in my own case. So I held that 10.5 inch and I placed it on the midpoint of my front pattern. Then from there, I'm going to measure my bust measurements that I measured before divided by 2. So I had 20.5 inch, and you can see that I placed it exactly on the chest line. So when drafting yours, your bust measurements can get to this smaller part. That is okay. You can also get farther than this. It is also okay. So after doing that, I place my curve ruler to connect the both points to get my armhole curve. So after marking the bust measurement, on my waistline, I took my round waist measurement as 34 inches. Then I removed 2 inches to get my snatched waist. So you can choose to remove 2 inches or 3 inches depending on what you want. But 3 inches is like the highest, so you'll be comfortable in your corset. So my snatch waist now is 32 inches. I divided this into 4, and then I had 8 inches. So I'm going to place that 8 inches on my half length. Ensure that you're making use of your exact body measurements. So I decided to make use of this simple way instead of doing a lot of darts, okay? After doing that, I use my curve ruler to connect from my half length to my bust measurements. And then on the top length, I'm going to take the round circumference of my hip and divide it into 4. And then I place it on the top length. Then I use my straight ruler to connect from that point to my half length. So this way now I get my exact round circumference for my corset length. Then I went ahead to rule a straight line using my marker so you see where the corset length stops, okay? So after that, the next step is to draw the shape of the corset cup. I've already curved the bottom part where the cup is sitting. Now for the top line, I place my pen straight from where the cup is sitting and I marked the points. Then I sketched out the curve following. And then on the other side, I came down by 0.75 on the corset bodice and I connected it back to where the cup stopped. So this small adjustment makes a big difference. It keeps your armhole comfortable when fixing the yoke and sleeves, so you can easily lift your arm and even rock your corset for long hours without stress. So on the corset length, I moved out by 0.75 on the side, then I curved it back to the waistline. This gives the corset a nice shape, and if you want it to be more conical or hourglass, you can add a bit more to it. So having done that, I'll go ahead to make all the lines visible so you can see clearly. So guys, this is what the pattern looks like after drafting. Now, before taking out your cup, ensure that you've traced out the cup on your pattern paper. Okay, ensure that you've traced it out very well before you take it out. So the next step is to check the yoke measurement before I cut, because a good fit always starts with an accurate pattern. To check, I measured my cup height first. That is from the cleavage line down to the underbust of the crafted cup, and mine is 7.5 inches. So I'm going to make use of a calculator at this point. Don't use your measuring tape. Use your calculator so you get an exact calculation. So then I'm going to subtract my cup height from my shoulder to underbust. I'm using my exact shoulder to underbust of 14 inches. So that gave me 6.5 inches. Then I took out my crafted cup and I measured my yoke and it gave me exactly 6.5 inches. So that means the yoke is correct and I can cut out my pattern. So I took out my crafted cup and I'm going to keep it aside. So for now, I am not cutting out my front pattern because I want to use it to get my back pattern. So guys, this is what the front pattern looks like. If you missed any parts or didn't quite get it, just rewatch the video and take your time. It's really simple to follow. This is an easy way to draft a corset that fits perfectly. So now let's move on to drafting the back bodice. So guys, for the back pattern, I'm also using a folded pattern. Like I said before, for tutorial purpose, or if you want your corset to have a stylish M, you're free to do it the same way. So first thing I did was to rule a straight line at the center back to serve as the center part of my back pattern. Okay, there's really no special thing here. You can choose to leave it like that or follow it the same way. Then I place my front pattern exactly on the straight line. Then I use my pin to secure the both patterns together like this. So after using my pins to hold the both patterns together, I'm going to use my tracing wheel to trace out the shape of the front pattern towards the back. So first thing I did was to trace the shoulder line and also the starting line. Then I also traced where the neckline starts from. And then I traced my armhole and also the points of where the front yoke stops. Then I traced out the side part of the corset bodice and then also my corset length line and half length. So I'm doing this so it will not be difficult for me to draft the back. It's just going to be very, very simple. So now after tracing out the necessary lines, I took out the pins and I separated the front pattern from the back. So now I'm going to rule all the lines. As you can see, well, you cannot see the lines very clearly. So I am going to rule the lines so you can see them clearly. So I simply traced out the same point where my front yoke stopped and I drew a straight horizontal line across, and that is my back yoke. So next I went up by 1 inch from the back shoulder. This is going to help balance the front armhole. So I connected the slant and then I also connected from my shoulder slant to that point. And I also took note of my neck wideness. My neck wideness is 3 inches. So go ahead to mark that point. And then from there, I drew my back neck curve using my curve ruler like this. So the difference between the back part is that it is raised up by 1 inch on the shoulder line. So I'm going ahead to measure what I have on the shoulder to ensure that it is the accurate shoulder wideness as the front. If it's not, then go ahead to correct it. And then I'll make the lines visible so we'll know the exact lines we're working with. So I'm just going to explain again how I got this back part. So I raised the shoulder using my front shoulder as a guide. I raised it by 1 inch. Then after doing that, I used my curve ruler to connect to form my back neck curve. And then on the chest line, I came down by 0.5 inch and I slanted it to the side part, just like you see me doing. The next thing, I'm going to mark my back styling. So on the center back, I came in by 1.5 inch. Then on the waistline, I came in by ½ inch and I also marked ½ inch on the top length. So I connected the points all together. So this back part is going to be cut out. Okay. This is not a part of my back again. And then after that, I measured my lacing bar to be 1.5 inch from the line. Then I connected all the points together as shown. So this lacing bar is where I'm going to fix my eyelets to for the back of my corsets. So now I went ahead to mark my back yoke. So I just came down by 4 inches from my neck depth and then I connected from the lacing bar to that point. So you can choose to style your back anyhow you prefer it. Now having done that, I'm going to connect all the lines using my marker to make it visible. But before doing that, I'm going to go up by 1 inch from the corset length on the back. This is because the back length is very long. It's not supposed to be that long. So you can either go up by 1 inch and then rule a straight line, or you connect 1 inch from the center back and then connect to the side part of your corsets. Okay. So just play around with it. Whatever you want, you are free to do for your style line. Now, after doing that, I made all the lines visible and I am going to cut out my back corsets. So guys, after cutting the back pattern like this, I am going to do my front style M line. So since I removed 1 inch from the corset length, I'm also going to remove 1 inch on the side part of the front. And then I just connected it this way, like a form of curve. And I am going to cut out my front corset length so that this way the side parts of the front and the back are going to align together. So next I'm going to cut out my front corset. So just follow along and see exactly how I do it. So guys, at this point, you're good to go for your corset. If you're making a dartless corset, you are good to go. So next thing I did was just to align my front shoulder and back shoulder together. And if there is any excess, you're going to trim it out. So I'm going to trim out the excess from the side part, which is the armhole area. And then after doing that, I'm going to measure what I have as my round armhole to ensure that it is equal with the roundness of my armhole circumference. So I measure the front and I also place my tape and measured the back, and what I got was exactly what I have as my armhole. So guys, this is like your normal corset, but if you want to fix a plunge neckline, I'm going to illustrate that using my front yoke. So I'll first of all cut out the back yoke before I do the front part. After cutting the back yoke, I decided to add a dark line. So I just divided what I have as my center back from the side back to the lacing bar, and I got the midpoint. Then I just wrote a straight line on that point. So I am going to be cutting it out. Before cutting it out, ensure that you label your pattern if you want it to be a darted corset. So I'm going to label center back and side back. Then I also put in my arrows and I also labeled my back yoke. Then I'll keep this pattern aside. So to get a plunge neckline, first of all, you're going to trace out the lines that you have. So I traced out my front yoke, first of all, and then I also traced out the cup to appear on the other side. So I'll be able to draft the plunge neckline very well. After tracing it, I went ahead to use my pen to sketch out the curve so you can see it clearly. So after tracing the yoke and the corset curve, I opened up the pattern and I measured how deep I want the plunge neckline to be. I marked 2 inches and then I connected it smoothly to the shape of the pattern. Next, I placed a small paper under the front bodice and I traced only the plunge neckline from the midpoint of the yoke down to the plunge point. After tracing it, I cut out the shape, then I set it aside, then I continue to cut my front yoke as a normal straight neckline. So after cutting the yoke, I taped the plunge neckline piece back to the yoke so the full shape is complete. And this is what it looks like. So then after that, I labeled this part my front yoke. And then I added style lines to the front of my corset. This is totally optional. If you want it to be a dartless corset, you don't need to add any lines. But if you want it to be like a darted corset, a corset with darts, where you join all the pieces together, you can choose to do this. So I divided and labeled them center front 1, 2, and 3, and I added arrows for guidance. And then after that, I will go ahead to cut out my corset opening, just like you see me doing. So I brought back my crafted cup so you can see how the corset is going to look like. You can imagine it from the drafted pattern. And this ends the second part of the corset series. So guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next part.